she had some interesting things to say about the declared pandemic, and I'll just ballpark paraphrase some of the things that she said. But one of them was that we didn't do enough to protest when the infringements of rights and freedoms started happening, and and maybe we protested a little bit, but not enough. And then she said, there was no basis, no scientific basis for the public health orders. We weren't given the science. They didn't tell us why, and
Right.
of course, uh, they needed to. And she said, I wonder what would have happened if, on New Year's, everybody had just refused to comply. All the restaurants had just stayed open, and the seniors' homes had just said, no, we're not going to keep Granny isolated from her family who aren't vaccinated so that she, is suffering alone. We're not going to do that. We've made a judgment call, and we don't think that that's in the public interest, and we certainly don't think it's in the interest of the elderly under our care. And so Suzanne Anton seems to have come to the conclusion that we simply should not have complied, that we were wrong to give in to these policies and this legislation when it was clearly infringing rights and freedoms and doing harm. And she pointed out that the government can only enforce these types of policies as long as people go along with it. It simply is no one's duty to go along with unjust laws. We all have we have a real duty, a real responsibility to refuse unjust laws. And that's what the HPOA is. It's an unjust law, and we all need to refuse it. And in refusing it, we need to stand up for our healthcare professionals because they're really targeted here, right? And they will be punished severely if they speak out. And so it's time for the public to speak out on their behalf and say, we absolutely reject the HPOA. We reject this type of legislation that ignores democratic process. We want a reinstatement of democratic lawmaking. We want a renaissance, a democratic renaissance. That's what we really need, and we insist that our elected representatives are accountable and responsible for their actions, and they need to act as though they are elected representatives in a functional democracy. Because right now, it looks like they're representing the interests of some unseen cabal when they're
Right.
making laws in secret and passing them improperly, and the laws themselves enshrine rights violations. There is no whiff of democracy about that. You know, that speaks to despotic lawmaking, and that this is the type of thing that creates conditions for an unjust society in which the people suffer, and we don't want it. So I think we need to do exactly as Suzanne Anton, the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, has suggested, and that is simply refuse to comply with unjust laws.